Hello, my name is Andrea Ibarra, and today I will be presenting our group project, The Relationship Between Childhood Trauma and Adult Resilience. For this project, we set out to explore the question, can traumatic experiences during childhood affect resilience in adulthood? We thought this was significant because trauma is prevalent in the population and because resilience helps overcome trauma. So it's important to understand how those two variables are related. We generated this hypothesis that exposure to trauma and traumatic events has a positive association with the expression of resilience in adulthood, meaning that if you're more exposed to trauma and traumatic events in early life, you will express more resilience as you become an adult. For this project, we conducted a literature review and found that trauma is present in 70% of the population. We also found that trauma can lead to resilience depending on moderating factors like social support, for example. However, we also found a couple of papers that indicate the opposite, that trauma and resilience have a negative association, and that less exposure to trauma in early life is associated with higher levels of resilience, also depending on moderating factors. However, these two papers were done in populations with mental illnesses and not in healthy populations. We also found that childhood adversity reduces resilience. However, this paper was done in Germany with a German population sample. And we found that cultural differences affect the response to trauma. So as some cultures, exposure to trauma might result in more resilience, and other cultures, it might be different. As such, we found that there are limited studies in healthy populations with the same cultural profile as Americans. And so we set out to explore that. To do that, we conducted some surveys and we measured trauma based on the Adverse Childhood Event Questionnaire. And we measured resilience with the Connor-Davidson Brief Resilience Scale, that's a Likert scale, and we adapted it to account for social moderating factors like strengths of relationships and social support. We also took some intake questions like income, gender, race, and language, and we used language as a proxy for culture. We computed the total A scores and the Brief Resilience Scale scores, and we cross-tabulated all the variables and calculated gamma, lambda, and p-values with SPSS. We also calculated the relative risk for resilience based on A scores using MetCalc, and we also conducted other descriptive statistics with Excel. So the majority of our respondents were white, and income was well represented, you could say. We also found that the majority of people that responded were women and spoke English as their first language. As such, there was not a very good representation of other cultures using language as a proxy. However, we found that there is a weak negative association between A scores and resilience, meaning that the higher A scores that you get, meaning the more exposure to trauma you had in early life, the less resilience you express. And this weak association was statistically significant. We also found that there was no association between resilience and language, meaning culture, like we talked before, race, or income. However, we did have this serendipitous finding that gender has a weak relationship with resilience. And we found that women have a 420% increase in risk to express low resilience when exposed to trauma, while men have a 60% decrease in risk of expressing low resilience when exposed to trauma, meaning that when women are exposed to trauma, they express low resilience than men. Of course, this means that our hypothesis was incorrect. Higher trauma scores are related to lower resilience scores. We also found the serendipitous finding of gender and resilience. We need to find some possible explanations for this. Maybe it is that women are more exposed to trauma, or because due to some other difference between men and women in the social realm. We also had results mainly from one race, which was white. Not all socioeconomic classes were very well represented, and we had limited funding at the time. For this, we have some recommendations to keep exploring this topic. That is to conduct a study with a larger sample with equal representation of genders and socioeconomic classes, and to further explore the relationship between gender and resilience so we can better understand what is going on there. However, this data that we produce can help guide the development of intervention programs for individuals exposed to early life trauma through community programs, therapy, after-school programs, etc., including what we found about gender. So this could lead to programs that are more focused towards supporting women that have gone through trauma, for example. These are our references. Thank you so much.